New prediction about the threat of rising tides. More than
Flood low-lying
4,000
cities
homes at
has
risk,
doubled or
but
even
areas
tripled
like
in the last few
Alameda,
decades.
East Palo Alto, and
Florida,
much of the
San Diego, Santa Cruz, and of course,
Miami Beach, home to almost 100,000 people. The lavish scenery causes the area to flood with tourists at all times of the year, with an interest in the sunshine, skylines, and of course, the ocean. But that's not the only thing that seems to be flooding in the area. Roads, buildings, sidewalks, parks, cars, restaurants, everything that is on or near the coast is flooding, and this has been looming over the city of Miami and Miami Beach for quite some time. The global average of sea level rise since the 1900s has been 7 to 8 inches, but as of early 2019, this figure has been rapidly increasing. Sure, the Miami Beach's government has made efforts to stop this rapid increase. Their $500 million attempt to cut down on the water infiltration has worked somewhat, but this is only a temporary solution to a seemingly permanent problem. They've installed pumps, they've raised roads, they've issued public announcements, yet none of this stops the problem. It merely prolongs its effects. What we fail to realize as a city is that this issue, unless we do something about it, is here to stay. And simply raising some roads or installing pumps is only buying time out of a limited bank account. But what is sea level rise and why is it happening? Sea level rise can simply be defined in layman's terms as a rise of the sea level, and it can't be more straightforward than that. This is happening because of climate change or global warming, which is the heating up of the earth and its atmosphere from CO2 emissions and greenhouse gases. This heat warms the ocean, and although it's only by 1 or 2 degrees, it causes problems. Firstly, the glaciers in the northernmost and southernmost point of the earth are simply melting away, putting more water in the ocean at an incredible rate, with some glaciers losing 30 feet of ice in 5 years. Second, matter expands when heated, and water is no exception. When all 332.5 million cubic miles of ocean heat up, and with each cubic mile containing 1 trillion gallons, it gets real pretty quick.
We interviewed Shelby Brown, a marine biologist at the Rosenstiel School of Marine and Atmospheric Sciences via email, and she was happy to answer a few questions for us. Because it was done on email, I, the interviewer, will simply just read the questions and then the responses from the interviewee and also display them for you to see. My first question was simple and was just to provide some insight on what sea level rise will truly do to the city. What specific areas in the Miami metropolitan area do you think will be most impacted by sea level rise? Her response was perfect, stating, unfortunately, most of the lower income areas are in the lowest sea level regions of Miami and have been and will continue to be affected by sea level rise the most. The reason being, while there are many homes and businesses right on the water, typically those have the finances to fund management strategies, while lower income areas do not and are therefore forced out of their homes. Everyone knows that with sea level rise comes flooding, but I wanted to know what else would actually happen. Besides flooding, what are some other potential consequences of sea level rise? Off the top of my head, not only does it cause damage to the area simply from flooding, but erosion via flooding is a major issue. The landscape is and can be completely reworked by the water distribution in an area. Additionally, sea level rise can increase runoff situations previously only encountered during a storm that introduces pollutants and contaminants into the local watershed. This question is super important, as hurricanes are a threat to Miami that will never go away. How do you think hurricanes and the hurricane season itself will be affected by sea level rise? Quote, again, to answer your question quickly, it will make the hurricanes much more severe, specifically from storm surge impacts, which cause most of the damage from hurricanes. Hurricanes also form from the warm, moist air arising over water. More water surface area, the more opportunity for this to occur. This was another controversial question, and just like the last one, I wanted to get an answer from someone who truly knew about the subject. Do you think spending millions of dollars on water pumps to prevent flooding is worth the cost, or should that money go towards being a more eco-friendly city? In my opinion, it's already shown to not work, and trying to throw more money into it is asinine. I think that money needs to go into improving technologies that will not only try to fix the carbon output situation, what caused this whole mess to begin with, but also into technology that will allow us to cope with this new flooded world we've created. Everyone says to do things to help the environment, but I wanted to know what specific things Miamians could do. What are some measures, large or small, that we can take as a city to reduce the effects and prevent sea level rise? For starters, try to reduce your carbon footprint. It may seem like you aren't making a difference, but voting and paying attention to your local government is huge in environmental protection and passing laws that can help with climate change and sea level rise. And for my final, and in my opinion, most important question as it directly relates to the people of this city and what they truly know, why do you think issues related to sea level rise are not known by many residents of the Miami metropolitan area? Quote, I could talk about this question for hours, but it simply comes down to the fact that they cannot see it right in front of their faces. The general public does not look for the signs. When the streets flood, they just think, oh, we got a lot of rain today. It isn't on the forefront of their Facebook feed. It's not discussed in everyday life. It's affecting us all, but no one knows about it because they are blind to the problems. This is not the public's fault. It is on the scientific community, educators, and politicians to bring this information to the public in a way that everyone can assess and understand, and currently that is not being done.
The first step in coming to a solution is figuring out what the problem is. Take an online quiz to find out your carbon footprint and work off of that. Anything you do, big or small, makes a difference in helping reduce sea level rise and climate change altogether. Try walking or biking to school, use less light, buy your food locally, literally anything works. It's so important that we, not just as individuals, but as people as a whole, commit to making a positive change in light of a negative situation. We can help fix this problem, but it will not only happen if you and me and everyone else tries. So the next time you go to the beach that we as a city call our home, remember your duty to care and love the ocean.